Shark Island Concentration Camp, or Death Island, was a concentration camp on Shark Island off Lüderitz, Namibia, used by the German Empire during the Herero and Namaqua genocide of 1904 to 1908. Between 1,032 and 3,000 Herero and Namaqua women and children died in the camp between its opening in 1905 and its closing in April 1908. Shark Island was the first camp created with the explicit purpose of extermination, rather than being solely for containment. Since the extermination at Shark Island was restricted to specific people, it was the first recorded effort to exterminate a race, constituting genocide or an ethnic cleansing. The objective of the policy of German Southwest Africa Governor Theodor von Lettwin was not to destroy their indigenous populations in order to seize the land to encourage settlement of German farmers, nor was it to seize or kill the cattle. Lettwin's objective was not genocide, and he was wise enough to realize that the indigenous population could be used as labor supply. However, such flippant tactics left Lettwin open to attack at home, with the public who wanted the instant gratification of the decisive defeat of the indigenous people of German Southwest Africa. As a consequence, Lettwin was pushed aside by Kaiser Wilhelm II and replaced by Lothar von Thurda, already known for his brutality in China as was German East Africa. The result was the genocide of the indigenous population, the economic ruin of German Southwest Africa, and the eventual loss of German colonial empire. The beginning of Germany's colonial period. Nazi policy was usually researched prior to World War I in Germany's African colonies. The native populations were regarded as inferior and treated in kind, and racism was institutionalized. Indigenous populations were coerced into forced labor in Togo, Cameroon, and Southwest Africa, Namibia, but conditions reached their peak in Ladder under Namibia's first governor, Heinrich Ernst Göring, father of Hitler's deputy Hermann Göring. Among the populations inhabiting this colony was more than 80,000 Hereros who rebelled against the German overlords in 1904. The Germans sent an army under Lothar von Thurda who called the conflict a race war. He declared the German press that no war may be conducted humanely against non-humans. As would occur in the Nazis, these killings were often framed in public health rhetoric. Von Thurda wrote, "I think it's better that the Herero nation perish rather than infect our troops." By this time, his order was resigned, and an estimated of 65,000 Hereros had been killed. The African colonies and concentration camps also served racial scientific inquiry. Postmortems were performed to study cases of death, and bodies of executed prisoners were preserved and shipped to Germany for dissection. There were 5 concentration camps in all Namibia, then in German Southwest Africa, between 1904 and 1908. They were in reports and succeeded South African camps by 2 years. The anti-colonial struggles of 1904 to 1908 were characterized by 2 major uprisings: the Herero uprising in northern and central Namibia, and a Nama uprising in the south. The Herero people. During the 17th and 18th century, the Herero migrated to what is today Namibia from the east and established themselves as herdsmen. In the beginning of the 19th century, the Nama from the South Africa, who already possessed some firearms, entered the land and were followed, in turn by white merchants and German missionaries. At first, the Nama began displacing the Herero, leading to the bitter warfare between the two groups, which lasted the greater part of the 19th century. Later, the two people entered the period of cultural exchange. During the late 19th century, the first Europeans began to enter and permanently settle the land. Primarily in Damaraland, German settlers acquired land from the Herero in order to establish farms. In 1983, the merchant Franz Olof Edward Lüderitz entered in contract with the native elders. The exchange later became the basis of German colonial rule. The territory became a German colony under the name of German Southwest Africa. Soon after, conflicts between the German colonies and the Herero herdsmen began. Controversies frequently arose because of disputes among access to land and water, but also the legal discrimination against the native population by the white immigrants. On the 12th of January 1904, the Herero people, led by Samuel Mahero, rebelled against German colonial rule. In August, German General Lothar von Thurda defeated the Herero in the Battle of Waterberg and drove them into the desert of Omaheke, where most of them died of thirst. In October, the Nama people also rebelled against the Germans, only to suffer a similar fate. With the use of 1,625 modern rifles, 14 machine guns, and 30 artillery pieces, General Lothar von Thurda slaughtered the Herero at the Battle of Waterberg. In the months that followed, survivors were pushed into the Omaheke Desert to die of thirst and starvation. Once beyond the last water holes, he placed guard posts hundreds of kilometers in length to ensure no Herero would return. Water was systematically poisoned. The order he put was, "The Herero are no longer German subjects. All Hereros must leave the country or die. All Herero found within the German borders with or without weapons, with or without animals, will be killed. I will not accept a woman nor any child. There will be no male prisoners, all will be shot. The Nama people. Nama, as the Bushmen, have fair skin and were traditionally hunt-gatherers. The Nama, or Namak, were today the largest group of Khoisan people. They have resided in South Africa for over 1,000 years. When colonial settlers arrived in the Cape in 1652, they found the Khoi raising huge herds of Nguni cattle. At that time, they referred to the people as Huguenots. By the 19th century, Dutch settlers had already been mixing with the Nama for 200 years, and so many Namas have names of European origin. The Nama had access to guns and as a result confronted the Herero for the most part of the 19th century through warfare. As previously stated, in October, the Nama people also rebelled against the Germans only to suffer a similar fate. I was sent to Shark Island by the Germans. We remained 1 year. 3,500 Nama and Kafirs were sent to the island and 183 returned. 3,308 died on the island, Samos Kahir states under oath. There were only 3,000 of us left, and we were walking skeletons. The people died there like flies that had been poisoned. The great majority died there. The little children and the old people died first, then the women and the weaker men. Establishment. Although the records of Herero prisoners of war being held in Lüderitz Bay as early as 1904, the first references to a camp at Shark Island and the transfer of large numbers of Herero prisoners are in March 1905. From early on, large numbers of Herero died in the camp with 59 men, 59 women, and 73 children, reportedly dying by late May 1905. Despite this high initial rate of mortality of the island, which with its cold climate was unsuitable for habitation, particularly for people used to dry and climate of the belt, the German authorities continued to transfer people from the interior to the island, ostensibly because of the lack of food in the interior, but also because they wished to use the prisoners as slavery in constructing a railway connecting Lüderitz with Ost. Violence from German protectorate army whips was common, as was rape. Medical investigation. Research was conducted by the Dr. Eugene Fischer on the skulls of dead prisoners and on prisoners with scurvy by Dr. von Figger. In 2001, a number of these skulls were returned from German institutions to Namibia. The captured women were forced to bale heads of their dead inmates, some of whom they might have been their relatives or acquaintances, and scrapes remained on their skin and eyes with shards of glass, preparing them for examinations by German universities. The death toll. The precise number of deaths at the camp are unknown. A report by the German Imperial Colonial Office estimated 7,682 Herero and 2,000 Nama died at all camps in German South Africa, of which a significant portion died at Shark Island. A military official at the camp estimated 1,032 out of 1,795 prisoners held the camp in September 1906, having died. It is estimated that eventually only 245 of these prisoners survived. The overall figure for deaths at the camp has been estimated as being as many as 3,000. Combined with deaths amongst prisoners held as elsewhere in Lüderitz Bay, the total may well exceed 4,000. With the closure of concentration camps, Austrian Herero were distributed as laborers for settlers in German colony. From that time on, all Herero over the age of 7 were forced to wear a metallic disc with their labor registration number, and banned from owning land or cattle, a necessity for pastoral society. In 1915, the start of World War I, the German colony was taken over and occupied in the Southwest Africa Campaign by the Union of South Africa, acting on behalf of the British Imperial Government. South Africa received a League of Nations mandate over Southwest Africa in 1919 under the Treaty of Versailles. Not long ago, Germany's development minister, Heidemer Barswerk-Sohl, traveled to Namibia to ask for forgiveness, using the term genocide to describe the German treatment of the Herero on Nama. But her act was not well received at home and condemned in the German press, and she made not a single mention of the existence of the Namibian death camps. More than a century on, the terrible events that took place at Shark Island and their link to the rise of the Nazis remain a sordid secret that modern Germany still cannot bring itself to acknowledge. Since independence, Namibia has successfully completed the transition from white minority apartheid rule to a parliamentary democracy. Multi-party democracy was introduced and has been maintained, with the local, regional, and national elections held regularly. Several registered political parties are active and representing the National Assembly, although the SWAPO party has won every election since independence. It is said that the genocide has been left behind and it does not affect the people of Namibia today.